talk about mind mapping. There are many different ways to complete an outline, and it doesn't have to look one way. I am an advocate to doing what works for you. And I'm gonna have my tablet here just so you can see what I'm doing, but you might have been taught to do it this way. And I'm not gonna write words. Up. A, B, or you might have been taught the Roman numeral way, you know. It's really sloppy, but there's many different ways. What this looks like in a book outline, you may have the introduction, right? And excuse my handwriting. Then you might have chapter 1. And then in Roman numeral 2 will be chapter 2, and so forth until you get to the conclusion. I did this and other things like with my business, mind mapping. I had no idea it was called mind mapping. A lot of the things I do is extremely intuitive. I enjoy the process of writing. But it can get really confusing if I'm writing multiple books at a time. I'm getting all this information, all these downloads and things. Oh, I could write a book about that. Oh, I want to write a book about that. And I'll get my OneNote and I'll start writing. And then I'm like, well, wait a minute. Okay, this seems like this can go with this. This doesn't need to be a separate book. Or I would just start writing. I wasn't always doing an outline. I would just begin writing and eventually the outline would come. And so it was very unorthodox. But I noticed with the book that I actually published, it required an outline, because if I didn't do that, I was gonna be lost, okay? Because I needed a way to form my ideas, to structure them. I needed to know, okay, when I'm in editing, when I'm going back to edit, that this actually doesn't go here, it goes over here. It goes under this topic. So, mind mapping looks a little something like this. Uh-oh. No, we're gonna go up. Okay, looks a little something like this. So in the middle, we'll put, what's the topic? We'll put a topic here, right? Okay. Staying in the flow, right? Staying in the flow. Okay? What is staying in the flow, right? So we're talking about life. So mind mapping is fun. You're using different colors. So let's say these are next we're gonna do the topics. What are the topics involved of staying in the flow? These are the main ideas. And so I'm just coming up with, this is completely off the top of the head. What are some ideas that come to my head automatically when I think of staying in the flow, right? So spiritual path, that's a U. Right? What are your, and then along with that, okay, I might, a subtopic of that, like, what practices do I have? Then I do a different color. And so the next topic, I say, what are staying in the flow? What are some requirements? What are some things about staying in the flow? So intuition. I might want to talk about intuition. And if I'm having a really hard time coming up with topics, then maybe staying in the flow is more of a subtopic. Then maybe that's the name of a chapter, and maybe I want to touch on a greater topic that will allow me to flow more, right? So let's see what we can pull out of this. And if I can't get a lot, then we're going to broaden our scope. Okay, so I'm going to choose green, and then we'll say nature. Okay, like connecting with nature. I might have the science of nature. You'll really have to excuse my handwriting. Okay. Staying in the flow. Elements. Because, like, water represents flow, right? Emotions. Let's see. Okay, we'll come do awareness, right? We'll do awareness. Okay. Receiving. Listening. I think that's a part of receiving. But just for the sake of this example, we're doing this, okay? So as you can see, all of the different, let's see, let me add intuition. Let's a subtopic of intuition. How does your intuition speak? Okay. And just that quick, we have a book with 5 chapters. I'm gonna go show you the one I did last night. This one was flowing. This is how you know that you have a really good main topic. This was how to stay spiritually connected in the writing process. Who knew that I was gonna end up mapping out a whole book last night? I might post that video to talk more about like what mind mapping is. And these are steps from zenflowchart.com. Choosing a central idea, which is what we did. That was the one in the middle. Choosing ideas to connect to the subject. We did that, right? Adding in colors and images to associate with these ideas. No, we didn't do images, but that's what makes this fun. You ever made a vision board, right? Doing a vision board, it can be really fun. So adding in colors, these colors make it easier to identify what goes together, right? If you have different, if you have everything that's the same color, it's really difficult. It just looks like a bunch of stuff on the paper. You don't know what goes with what until you look closer, right? But then when you have the different colors, as you can see, your mind automatically goes to what these colors are. So this is a nonfiction mind map. And I'm actually going to create a template, a mind map template for authors. That way, and you could just go download it for free at my website at thewriterschannel.com. I'm definitely going to do that. Rearranging the map so that it doesn't look confusing. So you have to be able to, I like doing it on my tablet on here clearly because I can cut and paste and I can erase and make it nicer and prettier, but for the purposes of here, I'm just doing it really quickly. Reviewing and storing the map for a subsequent writing process, right? So as you go back and you can refer to the mind map in your writing. Okay, hey, this is chapter 1. This is the subtopic for chapter 1. And then I'm gonna now tell some stories, right? This one is really basic. I didn't like this because it's more so about an essay, so I switched it up a little bit, and instead of it saying paragraph 1, paragraph 2, we put chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, and then we put topic, sentence, evidence, and a personal story. Evidence, research, all of that is going to have to be incorporated with your personal story. You have to figure out a way to put it all together. It doesn't need to be like scientific facts over here and then your story over here. Somehow it needs to transition and be cohesive together, right? So, but the outline allows you to just look at it as a whole, and then you can go, I don't know about you, but if you know about a certain topic, I could write about that topic for a very long time if I know it, right? But then I want to back it up with facts, right? With evidence, with scientific facts, with maybe I'm writing a spiritual book and I want to back it up with spiritual ideas, right? Metaphysical ideas, whatever the case is. I want to go get resources. So these resources would be, this is where we have the references right here. And so we got books, websites, journals. Keep track of that. How are you going to include that in your book, right? And that's a whole nother video as well. Even just talking about research and references, right? And making sure you give people credit, because in this day and age, everybody's copying people and no one's giving anyone credit for where they got the information from. Sometimes it's difficult to know where you got some information from if you weren't intending to capture that. But for the most part, when you're writing a book, there's always, you're in the process, so you know you're reading for research. So go ahead and write down that reference, okay? And then, so what I did was, these are two different mind maps. So this first one that I am showing you, this is like the main outline. This is for everything. But you see these little smaller, the chapter 1s, right? Chapter 2, all of that. Well, when you are breaking it down, you want to take it out and make smaller topics. Make it smaller. And you could do it this way. What I did was I wrote the name of the book in the middle, and then I wrote all the chapters, which is the topics, right? And then subtopics of that chapter. When I did subtopics to that chapter, this all flowed, okay? But you might want to break some of these off so you can have more space. So I might want to take off common pitfalls, right? I take off common pitfalls, ego, not trusting what is said, lack of conviction, doubting on abilities, distractions, disinterest in the process. And I might want to add a couple, like, just lack of motivation, lack of conviction, I said. But, that could also be lack of motivation. And I want to do the same color because we're part of the bigger one. Motivation. Listen, I type, okay? I'm a writer, but I type. And I write a lot neater, not on the tablet. Sometimes. Okay. So, if I wanted to break this off, you wouldn't see those other colors, and I would have much more space to expound. So, you want to do whatever works for you. I think that you pretty much get the point of how mind mapping works. Like I said, I'm going to give you a free download on my website of this process. And I am so thankful that I found this process. Things like this excite me when I find tools that work better for me than what I have been using, right? I appreciate it and it excites me. And this is what I want you to feel in your writing. I want you to be excited. I want you to feel what it is that you're doing. I want you to feel connected to what you're writing. There's so many books out here. I want to hear your voice. I want to hear you, okay? All right, y'all. Peace out. Thank you for your time. I'm out.